They don't always post warning signs at the edge of town anymore, but believe me, some places in America still speak volumes, even when they say nothing at all. Black travelers, you know the drill. The sun dips low, and your instincts sharpen. This is a countdown of the top 10 U.S. towns where black people are still made to feel unwelcome after dark. It's not just a history lesson, it's a reality check for 2025. Sundown towns may be relics on paper, but the chill isn't imaginary. Ever felt that tension at a rest stop when the sun goes down? Noticed a patrol car following your every turn? These are towns where the old routines never really disappeared, they just got quieter, subtler, and a whole lot harder to prove. This isn't ghost stories or internet rumors, it's about real places where black folk still trust their instincts to keep moving. Not by law, but by generations of whispered warnings, passed down, not forgotten. So, do sundown towns still exist? Or have they just gone underground, lurking in attitudes and unwritten rules? Stick with us as we unpack the codes, the reputations, and the communities that time glossed over, but black people never did. Hit that like, subscribe to Digital Road Trips with Brian, and keep your guard up. This one hits home. Number 10, Chandler, Arizona. It looks like just another sunny Phoenix suburb, tech companies, golf courses, neat subdivisions. But Chandler's past is complicated. For much of the 1900s, black workers could sweep the streets, but not buy a house. You could punch a clock, just don't stick around after dark. By 2020, Chandler's black population is only 6%. White residents? Over 65%. For a city in the heart of a sprawling metro, that's odd. First black homeowners didn't arrive until the late 1960s, and even then, it wasn't exactly a warm welcome. Real estate offices steered black families to safer neighborhoods, and intimidation was common. Sure, there are diversity programs and cheery slogans now. But scratch beneath the surface and you'll find lingering discomfort, a sense of being watched, of not quite fitting in. That's not just nerves. It's inherited caution. Can a place outgrow its roots, or just pave over them with strip malls? Ask the people who know which corners to avoid after sunset. Number 9, New Canaan, Connecticut. There's rich, and then there's Gold Coast, Connecticut rich. New Canaan is all manicured lawns, stone mansions, and country clubs. Diversity? A rounding error. Back in the 1950s and 60s, the unspoken rule was simple: if you weren't white and wealthy, you weren't welcome. Realtors and residents didn't need to hang signs. They just made sure the status quo stayed the same. In 2020, black residents made up barely 0.4% of the population. That's fewer than 80 people in a town of nearly 20,000. New Canaan claims it's open to all, but look at the numbers, the zoning codes, the way the schools and police operate. The message is clear: if you don't look like old money, expect to stand out, and not in a good way. It's not about open hostility. It's about closed doors and invisible boundaries. Number 8, Century, Florida. You won't find Century, Florida, in many travel guides. Wedged near the Alabama border, this small town made headlines almost a century ago for a brutal expulsion of black families. Homes were torched, livelihoods destroyed, and the message was clear: don't come back. To this day, the black population is a statistical footnote, less than 2%. That's not just an accident, it's the shadow of events nobody wants to remember. The area has all the amenities: schools, churches, shops. Just not much diversity. Florida sells itself as a melting pot, but Century is a reminder that some places never melted. The silence around its history is deafening. When a place never reckons with its past, who really feels welcome there? Number 7, Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Eau Claire sounds like a Midwestern paradise: riverside parks, coffee shops, indie music. But the numbers tell a different story. For decades, black workers were shut out, not by signs but by social pressure and housing policies. In 2020, only about 2% of the population is black. Eau Claire's city council recently acknowledged its history as a sundown town, but apologies only go so far. Black residents still report feeling watched, ignored, or subtly excluded. Whether it's the stares at a grocery store or the extra police attention, it's clear that some habits die hard. Symbolic gestures can't erase decades of exclusion, they just paper over the cracks. Number 6, Rolla, Missouri. Rolla is pure Americana, fairs, parades, and college football. But for years, a sign at the edge of town reportedly warned black travelers to keep moving. By 2020, black residents made up less than 1% of the population, about 40 people in a town of 20,000. In 2015, Rolla faced controversy when students wore blackface at a local party. Community members claimed it was just a joke. But for the few black residents, it was a reminder, you're still an outsider here. Reports of racial profiling and hostile stares are common. In Rolla, racism doesn't shout, it whispers, it excludes, it lingers. Halfway through. If you're learning something new, hit that like, subscribe to Digital Road Trips with Brian, and turn on notifications for more honest travel content. Let's keep moving. Number 5, Gardnerville, Nevada. Every night at 6 p.m., a siren used to wail across Gardnerville. The official story? It honored firefighters. But for Native Americans, it was a warning to leave town by sundown, a custom that endured for over 100 years. Even after the siren's racist roots were revealed, it took years of debate before it was finally silenced in 2022. Today, black residents are less than 1% of the population. The legacy of exclusion lives on in cold stares and unasked questions. When a community clings to a tradition rooted in racism, how much has really changed? Number 4, Oconee County, Georgia. Oconee County's history is marked by a violent purge of black families in the early 1900s. Their homes were seized, their land stolen. The black population dropped to near zero, and stayed there for decades. Even today, the area is over 85% white, and black residents often live on the outskirts. The county doesn't talk about its history, and there's little sign of meaningful reconciliation. When activists tried to rally here in the 1980s, they were met with threats and jeers. The past isn't buried. It's just been painted over. Number 3, Jonesboro, Illinois. In Jonesboro, the small-town charm hides an ugly reputation. For years, locals claimed the town's name stood for just only nice, except some. Ask around, and people deny it. But the stories persist. Black travelers told not to stop, musicians hustled out before dusk. The 2020 census reports less than 1% black residents. When journalists ask about the past, locals get defensive. But the truth is in the atmosphere, a quiet, uneasy feeling that outsiders aren't welcome after dark. Number 2, Orange, Texas. Orange, Texas is infamous for its past ties to the Klan, and its fierce resistance to change. In the 1990s, Klan rallies were held openly, and violence greeted every attempt at desegregation. When black families tried to move in, they faced threats and vandalism. As of 2020, the town is over 90% white, with barely 1% black residents. The town has tried to rebrand, but the shadow remains. Black travelers in nearby cities still avoid Orange after sunset, not because of signs, but because of stories passed down for generations. Number 1, Jasper, Arkansas. Jasper wears its reputation like a badge, even as it tries to shake it off. Fewer than 1% of its 2,000 residents are black. Outside town, a billboard once read, "Diversity is a code word for white genocide, paid for by hate groups." The Klan has long had a presence here, and attempts at racial justice have been met with hostility. When a Black Lives Matter protest was held in 2020, participants were heckled and threatened. Residents acknowledge the town's issues, but change comes slow. Banners and committees can't erase a legacy of fear. So there you have it, the #1 town where black travelers still say, "Don't stop, don't settle, don't even fill up." Not because of laws, but because of the silence that speaks louder than words. How many more towns didn't make this list, but could have? Before you say, "That's ancient history," ask yourself, if time alone could heal this, wouldn't it be over by now? When black families still swap travel warnings in group chats, reroute road trips, or avoid certain highways, it's not nostalgia, it's survival. This isn't about trashing small towns. It's about shining a light on places that never really left the past behind. The signs are gone, but the feeling remains. Now it's your turn. Have you passed through a place where the air shifts after dark? Do sundown towns still haunt the present, even if nobody says it out loud? Drop your thoughts below. Share your stories. Don't let silence win. If this opened your eyes, don't just scroll on, smash that like, subscribe, and share it with anyone who thinks sundown towns are ancient history. Because the truth is, for some, they never left.